Three UCLA athletes who were arrested in China are now back in Los Angeles. I'm Drew Jones, and I'll have a live report coming up from LAX.
And a shooting in Northern California leaves 4 dead. Victims reportedly shot at random, and school children are among the injured. The question now, who did this and why?
And the journalist who broke the story about ex-Keck Dean Carmen Fuliafito came to campus. How the USC administration turned them down again and again.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
3 UCLA basketball players arrested in China on shoplifting charges are back on U.S. soil. Good evening, I'm Brittany Hope.
And I'm Will Farnsworth. The plane carrying the players arrived in Los Angeles just moments ago. Annenberg Media's Drew Jones joins us live from LAX, where the players just got off the plane. Drew?
UCLA basketball players LiAngelo Ball, brother of Los Angeles Lakers rookie Lonzo Ball, and teammates Cody Riley and Jalen Hill were arrested for shoplifting while the team was in China. The 3 were detained by Chinese police, later to be released on house arrest to the Hyatt Hotel. When the rest of the team came back to the United States, the 3 players waited for due process. With a little help from President Donald Trump, the 3 were able to get released and make it back to Los Angeles. We caught up with some UCLA students today to see what they thought about this.
But it's kind of embarrassing that they got arrested in the first place, because as students and student athletes, they should be held to higher standards of just being well-behaved in a foreign nation.
Do I think that's unfair? Not entirely. I think they have a platform to be very impactful. So getting them back over here and getting them on the right track again, I think is important.
I'm standing outside the International Arrivals Terminal for Delta Airlines, awaiting the UCLA basketball players' return. There's a lot of press out here, as well as a lot of police officers patrolling the area. It'll be interesting to see what the basketball players do now that they're back in the United States. For Annenberg Media, I'm Drew Jones. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Drew. And UCLA Chancellor Gene Block released a statement this morning detailing how Ball, Hill, and Riley will be evaluated by the school's administration and athletic department upon their return. He said, quote, "I want to be clear that we will take seriously any violations of the law. In this particular case, both athletics and the Office of Student Conduct will review this incident and guide any action with respect to the involved students. Such proceedings are confidential, which limits the specific information that can be shared." President Trump also weighed in on the issue on his way back to the U.S. from Asia. He and Chinese President Xi Jinping met last Thursday to discuss the players' return to American soil.
Had a great conversation with President Xi. What they did was unfortunate. You're talking about very long prison sentences. They do not play games. President Xi has been terrific on that subject, but that was not a good subject. That was not something that should have happened.
UCLA confirmed the 3 players, basketball coach, and UCLA athletic director will be addressing the issue tomorrow at Pauley Pavilion.
4 people are dead and at least 10 injured, including an elementary school student, after a gunman went on a shooting spree in rural Northern California. Police believe the violence began with a domestic dispute. The gunman left his home and began randomly firing inside Rancho Tehama Elementary School. He then stole a truck and fired on a woman driving her kids to school. Police chased the suspect and killed him in a gunfight. Rancho Tehama is located 125 miles north of Sacramento and has a population just under 1,500. The local sheriff's department is dealing with 7 crime scenes related to the shooting.
We know that we had 1 student at the school that is a gunshot victim who has been transported to a local area hospital for treatment. We are aware that a second child was shot in that truck that was driving down the road, along with a female adult. We have recovered suspected used by the shooter a semi-automatic rifle and 2 handguns.
No children are among the dead. Police are still searching for a motive tonight. We'll keep you updated as we get more information.
Students expressed frustration today at how the USC School of Social Work handles sexual harassment incidents. Annenberg Media's Adam Askenizer attended the contentious meeting.
It would take monitoring.
In a town hall style meeting, students at the School of Social Work expressed their concerns about the school's way of dealing with sexual misconduct. Dean Marilyn Flynn says this is an opportunity for the school to improve.
I think we always learn best when there's a crisis. We learn what we haven't done, we learn what we need to do, and we get, hopefully, we get ideas and we get energy.
Last month, PhD student Carissa Fenwick sued Professor Eric Guerrero for alleged sexual misconduct. She also sued USC for not doing enough. Provost Michael Quick spoke briefly about the school's response.
Exactly the kinds of things that you all are pointing to. Specifically, we have to do better across our entire university about training around power and abuse of power.
Faculty and staff at the social work school tried to reassure students that proper measures are being taken to handle the situation. Some students, however, were not convinced.
What we would like is a little bit more courage to stand and support our needs and our safe work environment and not prioritize the privacy and protecting perpetrators of sexual misconduct.
I mean, they didn't really address anything. They just kind of, I felt like there was a lot of, I don't know, oh, I wasn't aware of that, and then, oh, it's a private matter. Like, I feel like there was a total brush off.
Starting tomorrow, a new task force made up of faculty and students will discuss how to better respond to cases of sexual misconduct. For Annenberg Media, I'm Adam Askenizer.
A California congresswoman says she's witnessed 2 of her male counterparts sexually harass staffers on multiple occasions. Representative Jackie Spire of the San Francisco area made the allegations. Speaking in front of the House Administration Committee today, the congresswoman said, quote, there are 2 members of Congress, Republican and Democrat, right now who serve, who have been subject to review or have not been subject to review, but have engaged in sexual harassment.
The thought of being blackballed in this institution, the thought of being somehow subject to reprisals, all of that has an effect. The first step is to require sexual harassment prevention and response training every year for both members and staff. Research has found that effective training requires in-person, interactive instruction and dialogue.
This is not the first time Congresswoman Spire has spoken out about this topic. Just a few weeks ago, she revealed that when she was still a staffer on the Hill, the chief of staff in her office sexually assaulted her.
The Republican National Committee will no longer fund Roy Moore's Senate campaign in Alabama. The decision follows allegations from multiple women who accused Moore of sexual misconduct when they were teenagers. Moore denies any wrongdoing. And Attorney General Jeff Sessions appeared today before the House Judiciary Committee. Sessions denied allegations that he misled Congress about his knowledge of contact between the Trump campaign and Russia.
In all of my testimony, I can only do my best to answer your questions as I understand them and to the best of my memory. But I will not accept and reject accusations that I have ever lied. That is a lie.
Congressional members also asked Sessions about the sexual misconduct allegations against Roy Moore. The Attorney General said he has, quote, no reason to doubt the women who have accused the Senate candidate of sexually assaulting them when they were minors.
Communities near the Iran and Iraq border remain devastated after a 7.3 magnitude earthquake shook the region Sunday night. More than 500 people are dead and at least 7,000 are injured. The International Red Cross and other aid groups have sent response teams to the area. Initial estimates from the Iranian government suggest the earthquake destroyed more than 12,000 homes and damaged 15,000 buildings. We spoke with one USC student who has ties to the region.
No, luckily, no one was harmed, in my family at least, by the earthquake that happened. It was just really crazy just to see a natural disaster happening in somewhere that, even though I haven't been in many years, I still consider it my home country. So it was very saddening to see that happen, and the loss of life is just tremendous.
Iran's President Hassan Rouhani says that his administration will conduct investigations on the buildings that collapsed in the quake and that the Army will continue to oversee field hospitals and rescue efforts.
USC's Price School of Public Diplomacy hosted a summit today about global solutions to domestic terrorism. We spoke with panelists, including a former jihadist and white nationalist, who shared their thoughts on what makes people vulnerable to extremist groups.
have to look at things that are missing in their life. If they're missing friendship, if they're missing, if they've been ostracized by their family, these are things that we can really jump on and bring them into our circle of friends, where we give them the love that they don't have, the sense of meaning and belonging they don't have, that sense of powerfulness, especially where they're coming from a sense of powerlessness.
I think one of the primary things that we need to look at when we're trying to help people disengage and become de-radicalized hospitalized is identifying what those voids were in their lives before they became involved. Because ultimately, if we don't fix those, they're not going to be successful when they come out of it.
Mayor Garcetti made an appearance at the conference and spoke about the importance of diversity in battling security challenges. The summit also brought together counterterrorism experts, nonprofit leaders, and political figures to discuss public safety and strategies to combat homegrown violence. And coming up, a major meteor shower expected this weekend, when and where you'll be able to catch a glimpse of the night lights.
Plus, USC County LA medical workers protest what they call unfair treatment of immigrant patients. We'll hear from a doctor next.
And a brand new app allows users to find restaurants via mouth-watering pics. Wait till you hear who created it. We're back in 90 seconds.
Recently, our country has witnessed catastrophic devastation. Hurricanes and flooding have upended lives and livelihoods.
Across this great country, Americans have answered the call.
That special calling that compels us, when others are down, to step up and do whatever it takes.
America's at her best when, against all odds, we come together and lift each other up.
Please donate to oneamericaappeal.org. America needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Two LA Times reporters who were part of the team that investigated the USC Keck School dean visited their alma mater today to talk about the story. Annenberg Media's Nuran Salahi was at the forum, hosted by Professor Jeffrey Cowan.
Reporters Matt Hamilton and Sarah Pavini talked about how their team of LA Times reporters found the story, the difficulties they faced while pursuing it, and the importance of uncovering stories of misconduct.
We had two very simple questions, I think, is what did the USC administration know about this man's behavior, and when did they know it?
The LA Times' long investigation uncovered former Keck Dean Carmen Pulifiato's alleged history of taking drugs and abusing alcohol, even while seeing patients.
You know, the faculty really stepped up and said, you know, listen, we knew this guy was a problem for years. We didn't know there were drugs, but his drinking and his temper were extremely problematic, and the university was on notice about that and continued to reappoint him in 2012 against what was overwhelming faculty opposition.
Hamilton and Parvini said that even as USC alumni, it was difficult to get a comment from USC, and that they are still waiting to hear back.
You have to check out every tip that you get, because even the ones that sound like they might be bogus or they sound like they might be far-fetched could turn out to be the next explosive story about a USC dean.
You have to weigh any sense of loyalty to a university with the real harm that could potentially be going on. And I think anyone who would say that a physician who is potentially treating patients, what the medical board says within hours of doing heroin or meth, I mean, disclosure of that fact is much more important and significant than, you know, some sense of loyalty to the university.
The reporters said that it didn't even occur to them that working on the story would harm their relationship to the Trojan family. For Annenberg Media, I'm Nuran Salahi.
At a protest today, doctors from LA County USC Medical Center had a message for undocumented patients who are too scared to seek treatment. Doctors and social activists stood on the steps of LA County USC Medical Center to reassure undocumented residents the hospital will not turn them over to immigration authorities.
And that's the point here today, is that we want them to feel safe. We want them to feel like that they have physicians in a position of power here that are advocating for them and that are fighting for them and that are actively creating a safe space.
We talked to a woman who says that one of her friends is sick but too afraid to come here for treatment.
The one that I know, she had some kidney issues, and they decided to go back. They decided to take her back home, to their country, to Guatemala. They're scared. Sometimes they're just holding their sickness at home. If they get it, they might be reported to those agencies.
Those opposed to treating undocumented residents say this is an unfair expense for American taxpayers and medical facilities. Now, Will, things are starting to heat up again.
You know, Brittany, I'm hoping for one last week of SoCal sunshine before I head back to the cold East Coast. Let's hear from Taylor.
Thanks, you guys. And you're right, Will, you will have some sunshine this weekend. Looking at our current conditions, right now we're at about 67 degrees out. And if we take a look at tomorrow, it's going to be cooler in the mountains with about 62 degrees in Big Bear, with things heating up in the desert at 85 degrees in Palm Springs. And in the valley, temperatures will be in the 70s with 76 degrees in Thousand Oaks, and cooler on the coast with 67 in Malibu. And back home at USC, we'll be at a nice sunny 74 degrees. On to our 5-day forecast. Expect temperatures to drop slightly on Friday with a chance of rain in the morning. But temperatures will be back in the upper 70s just in time for the UCLA game on Saturday. The annual Leonid meteor shower reaches its peak this Friday as the Earth's orbit crosses the Tempel-Tuttle comet. This year is expecting 10 to 20 meteors per hour that originate from the constellation Leo and are visible to the naked eye. Leonid meteors are bright and have persistent afterglow. Less lunar light from a new moon will make the shower more visible this year. People across the globe will be able to experience the event, and favorable weather conditions will make it easily visible in California. The city may not be the best place to watch, but there are plenty of places in and around Los Angeles. Popular viewing spots include Joshua Tree, Angeles National Forest, and the Santa Monica Mountains. NASA will also have a live broadcast. Make sure to bundle up and head outside from midnight to dawn for the best viewing experience. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen a meteor shower, so I am so excited.
I am extremely excited. My dad actually works for NASA, so every time there's a meteor shower, he always rushes us outside in our jammies at like 2 a.m., so I'm stoked.
I've never seen a meteor shower before in my life, but I'm hoping I'll be awake to see it. Thanks, Taylor. Here's a common problem. You're ordering in a restaurant, but you have no idea what to get. You want to see a picture, right? That's exactly what the creator of Dishare was thinking. Bradley Vermont shows us the new app.
La Taquiza has been a staple for USC students, serving homemade, authentic Mexican food for more than 25 years. But now, traditional Mexican is getting a digital makeover with help from a USC senior.
Once you're in the restaurant, how do you decide what you want to get? And that's what we want to optimize is the menu and pictures. Eventually, we can maybe add like an ordering system or kind of see it beforehand.
With the web app, you can see a menu for the restaurant, but unlike most menus, it's almost all pictures.
So what we found through surveys at USC, about 90% of people said pictures are highly influential in their food choice, and that kind of helps the restaurants because by seeing pictures, they might order an appetizer that they wouldn't want or a dessert that they wouldn't otherwise, or even drinks too. It could really affect your purchasing.
When you click into one of the pictures, you see a list of ingredients. You can save the dishes for later. Say, if you're in a restaurant and your friend orders something that looks good, you go back in the Dishare app and save it for next time. You can also order takeout from the web app and find out the restaurant's location. Currently, there are 10 restaurants that are participating with Dishare, all in the USC area. If you see one of these QR codes, you can scan it and the restaurant's menu will come up in the app.
We've seen a lot of students throughout the decades come out with different types of projects. And his is one of the best ones I've seen in the last 25 years.
Fadi is continuing to add more restaurants to Dishare, and he's meeting with investors this week with the hopes of getting seed money to put the finishing touches on the web app. For Annenberg Media, I'm Bradley Vermont.
Now, Brittany, I'm pretty hungry after watching that, but I'm also hungry for a Trojan victory this weekend.
I really think that we are going to win it all. Let's toss it over to Pete to see what he thinks.
Thanks, guys. Last night, the women's basketball team was on the road as they traveled to Riverside in search of their second win. Meanwhile, the men's basketball team played at home last night, and we'll show you the highlights of a game that was closer than expected. And of course, it's rivalry week, which means the Bruins will travel across town for the final home game of the year at the Coliseum. We'll have all this and more after the break.
You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
After 15 years of smoking, Eva Marie quit. There's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back. Let's talk hoops as the 10th-ranked men's basketball team picked up a 75-65 win over North Dakota State at the Galen Center last night, giving them their second win of the year. The win didn't come easy as the Trojans found themselves down by 10 in the first half before finishing off the game on a 13-5 run. USC only shot 25% from behind the three-point arc and made just 17 out of the 31 attempts from the charity stripe, but still managed to pull out the win thanks to Benny Boatwright, who poured in a career-high 28 points. Shemezi Metu also had a nice night, adding 14 points to go along with 7 rebounds and 2 blocks. And point guard Jordan McLaughlin had a few highlight reel drives on his way to 12 points.
I think we have the same game plan we've had over the past two years since we've been here. Saying we want to play fast, smart, and selfish, push it, get a lot of dunks, open threes, and get stops.
North Dakota actually held the lead for just over 20 minutes of game time, but a strong second half propelled the Trojans to victory. USC will now travel to Nashville to face Vanderbilt on Sunday. The women's basketball team was also in action last night as they crushed UC Riverside 64-46, moving to a perfect 2-0 on the year. The women of Troy got out to a hot start by opening the game on a 14-1 run and never looked back. Riverside didn't even get their first field goal until the 7-minute mark, as USC allowed them to shoot only 36% from the field on the night. Aaliyah Mazik led the way with 21 points on 7 of 16 shooting, while Kristen Simon also had an efficient night, making 4 of 7 shots on her way to 18 points. USC used their size to control the paint by out-rebounding Riverside 39-25, while playing defense en route to grabbing 12 steals and forcing 20 turnovers. The Trojans will head north to take on Santa Clara this Friday night before returning back to the Galen Center Monday to face Long Beach State. Well, it's a big week for college football in Southern California, with the Trojans welcoming the UCLA Bruins to town for the final game of the year at the Coliseum. The Bruins come in with just a 5-5 record, but are led by Heisman candidate Josh Rosen at quarterback. With a bowl berth and city bragging rights on the line, you can bet that UCLA will bring plenty of energy on Saturday. The Trojans are also wondering who they could potentially face in the Pac-12 championship on December 1st, so let's check out the scenarios. Washington State will face USC if they beat Washington this weekend, while Stanford needs to beat Cal and hope Washington beats Washington State. Washington will be back in the Pac-12 title game if they can beat Utah and Washington State, and they need Cal to defeat Stanford this weekend. On to volleyball, the 14th-ranked women's volleyball team defeated number 17 Utah and Colorado last week after a pair of strong outings from sophomore outside hitter Khalil Lanier. Lanier was named the American Volleyball Coaches Association National Player of the Week as she had 38 kills and hit at a .319 clip in 2 games to extend USC's win streak to 5 games. She is the first Trojan to earn the award since outside hitter Samantha Bricio won in November of 2015. Women's volleyball has 4 conference matchups to end the season, 3 of which come against ranked opponents. The NCAA championships start on December 14th in Kansas City. And finally, it's award week for Major League Baseball, and today Arizona Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo won the National League Manager of the Year award. Lovullo led the Diamondbacks back to the playoffs for the first time since 2011. In the American League, it was Minnesota Twins manager Paul Molitor who this team improved by 26 games from last season, taking home the American League Manager of the Year award. So guys, it's the last game day of the season, welcoming UCLA into town. It's going to be a fun weekend.
You know, it's my last game of undergrad. It's going to be kind of crazy. I'm hoping for a W.
No, big one, hoping they can finish the season strong at the Coliseum. Coming up, a new Barbie doll hits stores today.
How an Olympian was the inspiration behind Mattel's latest creation.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
You go and step out of the vehicle for me?
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Blackish star Tracy Ellis Ross will host the American Music Awards this Sunday night at the Microsoft Theater in downtown LA. Bruno Mars is up for 8 awards, including Artist of the Year, the most of any nominee. The host's mother, Diana Ross, will receive the AMA's Lifetime Achievement Award and give a special performance of her greatest hits.
And the toy maker Mattel unveiled a new Barbie doll today, created in honor of Olympic fencer Ida Haj Muhammad. Muhammad's Barbie will be the first to wear a hijab. This Barbie is part of a series of dolls modeled after inspirational women. Muhammad described the experience of having her own doll as a dream come true. Both Mattel and Muhammad expressed their hope that these dolls will inspire young girls to achieve their dreams.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Will Farnsworth.
And I'm Brittany Hope. You can catch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.